Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. It is a crazy, I know that you guys are hearing this in July. It is a crazy May day, and you know all that stuff. Join the Patreon, learn tarot, get extra Paranormal Karen episodes, get reading at karenrontowski.com, all that stuff. Amy Spicer is here with me today. Yay! How are you, Amy?
I'm really good. It's good to hear your voice. I have not talked to you in weeks, it feels like. So
I know.
It's good to hear your voice.
Life got crazy, didn't it?
It's busy with just my healings, and then I was traveling, that kind of thing. But anyway, and also thank you for just being patient about today. For I had an intense healing session. I had 2 of them here this morning, and so I couldn't make our original time. And you're just so flexible and understanding, and I really appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you, and never worry, you're my guest. So I whatever works for you, my friend. And just an odd question right off the bat. There is a strange and different energy right now, isn't there?
Well, I feel maybe a little different protected because I was just in Her and had a whole bunch of activations that went down with my teachers. So I'm floating around in, I don't know, Never Never Land. Mm-hmm. But in general, I can tell that the anger is a little higher. There's a lot of anger floating around.
Oh, you mean in general with people?
Yeah, in general.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, even my cat.
Your cat is angry also.
Right? My cat was like, amen. Right?
That's funny.
But what are you feeling?
My life is not feeling chaotic or anything like that, but I've had every day there is a text about, can you do an emergency reading? Which those usually all come at once. Everybody needs an emergency reading, not a one-off. So it's kind of been like that, or making decisions, or we're recording this in May, and everybody probably knows that June is that weird, whatever they're going to do with the debt. They'll probably just raise it and it'll be fine. But June and July have these very strange things with money, and there's been a lot of layoffs and a lot of job changes, and people that are supposed to get a job hear a yes, and then they call them back and say you don't have the job. So financial 3D stuff. Yeah. And this is not waitressing jobs or those jobs. Go get them, folks. You'll keep them forever. I'm talking about high-end lawyers and market, people that very wealthy up their jobs. The people are putting the job in front of them and then pulling it away. It's a very strange thing.
What?
I know, and it's happening over and over. No one can make a decision when it comes to finance. So everybody feels like their life is on hold. So that's been on my tarot end so far.
Oh, God, that sucks. I feel bad for all of those people that have been depending upon income or benefits and aren't getting that. It is an unbelievable time for everyone else that does have job, just to simplify.
Yeah.
Everything should be simple. That way, if the rug is pulled out from under you, it's not as a big of a catastrophe. That's just what I'm working on in my own life right now, is just simplification, even in what I eat. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. I don't read the astrology or tarot or anything like that. I just see energies or frequencies, and I definitely know I have a lot of people also reaching out saying, can you please squeeze me in? You got to put me in. So
yeah,
I'm bracing for that. That's a shame. Well,
yeah, it's almost too, there's a holding on or a gripping happening because there's so much uncertainty coming up. And I think that's what people are feeling. And then I don't know if it's the world or the country, but everything just got knocked off balance just a little bit. And it's just teetering on the edge. And so I think people are feeling that, even the ones that don't have money worries or anything. That's why I think people are just like, what is happening next? They're just very anxious. But tell everybody about Dom and Her and what you do when you go there.
Yeah, I'm going to be starting to take people with me.
Wonderful.
So there's a beautiful documentary on Gaia TV that I highly recommend if you're interested in checking it out. But Dom and Her, it's spelled DAMANHUR. It is a community in northern Italy, in the Piedmont section of Italy, where the founder was this beautiful human being that was just an advanced knowledge. He had knowledge of healing modalities and knowledge of, speaking to plants. He was tapped into the grid. And so he would give these beautiful live lectures. Sounds like a cult, but it's very not cultish because they don't worship any god nor person nor anything. They believe in, like pretty much the law of one. But he decided to give these lectures, and people started to hang out with him. And then they decided that they were going to build a place to practice their spiritual practices inside of a mountain. And because they were doing this in secrecy, they had to do it by hand and at night. And it's still sounding all cultish, but it's not. Anyway, they built what is now known as the temples of mankind inside of a mountain. And it is the most grandiose, elaborate, intricate.
Oops, hold on a sec. I lost you there. Hang on.
And it will hold its weight.
Okay, hold on a sec. We got a, are you there? All right, hold on.
I'm here.
Okay, now we're back on. Okay, and so it's in the mountain. It can hold up to what? What can it hold up?
It doesn't hold up anything. It anchors in sacred technology into people, into the planet, into plants, into an environment. Just get on Gaia TV and look about it. But they're huge temples inside of a mountain, all built by hand.
Wow,
it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's like the eighth wonder of the world.
Okay, I thought you were saying like it doesn't collapse because of something holding it up, or it just is how it's built.
It's just how it's built. It doesn't collapse. But to go into them, you have to sign waivers saying that you understand that the structures, these temples, are absolutely underground. It's under earth. It is in a massive mountain. And these temples are ginormous. And they're constantly changing and they're adding, and multiple stories.
Wow.
Oh, go
ahead.
No, I am in the School of Healing for Dom and Her, and next year is my last year. I have to present my thesis. I have to do my thesis next year, and so I'm with my teachers. My teachers are brilliant, brilliant individuals. The day before I left Dom and Her, my teacher did my interpreter. This is how smart they are. The interpreter for my teacher, because most of them speak in Italian. My interpreter is an astrophysicist.
Wow. Yes. And one, I'm going to jump back for 1 second, and then I want to jump up into what kind of healing it is. The astrology guy I like, that does the Pele report, he was there once, and but he was filming not inside. There was a place you could film. He was in something that was all blue, and that was fine. But I did see somebody on TikTok that filmed inside when they weren't supposed to, and they came out and all their tires were flat, which is just whatever. But that's just so disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have not heard that, and that is awful. Hopefully nobody slashed that person's tires. I mean, we'll see if that's an accurate story or not. But yeah, you can't film in there because they're trying to literally make it sacred. So people aren't in there doing, TikTok dances and just decreasing the vibration in that place. We have to have some sacred locations on earth. forests, like the Brazilian forest. It should remain sacred. Temple should remain sacred. Like there has to be a place for humans in the midst of all of the chaos to go and feel sacredness. And that's a shame that that whole situation happened. If that's what happened.
Well, the tape looks pretty real, and then someone stitched it. But the person that stitched it actually made sure you couldn't see what was in. Like the person, she blocked it out and said, I'm not showing you this. I'll just show you the end of it. But I do know that's sort of the energy, unfortunately, right now of this. There is no sacred place. Or if it's so sacred, why can't I take a video of it? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of.
Well, they do. I think they do. The documentary on Gaia will show you all of the temples. And also you can take a 3D tour of it on your computer. Oh. I just believe that there's such a sacredness in how the filmmakers do it and their intention behind it.
Right.
Instead of just somebody trying to get likes or views or seen or
permission. I
don't know. We have
just having permission.
Yeah, or permission, right? Like can't a temple even have a boundary anymore? Like we all sit around and preach about how boundaries are so important, yet violate others so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you go there for learning, because I'm actually on their email list, so I kind of see what's going on. Where did you start? What is the, like when you say healer, that always means so many things. What are you studying there?
Right. Okay. So I think the word healer, when I say healer, I basically mean a doorway. I am a doorway. I use my energy, my human form, my gifts to be a doorway so that other people can expand. Because what does a door do in a house? It expands into another room of a house, right? Your house gets bigger, or it adds on an addition. That's what doors do, open up into more space. And so that's the link of what I am basically doing. It is not as though, because I really do believe everyone truly is sovereign. And we, because of so many obstacles, conditionings, whatever, we have closed down how many rooms we look in our form. And so that's what a healer is. And so what I study, there is a very specific technique called prana therapy. And it is a modality that clears injury through timelines, injury through the energetics of your being, energetics behind your emotions or your muscle development or your storylines or your memories or your past lives, even though we don't focus on past lives. Like they're very forward focused. They don't really, it is not much of a concern to them about ripping up so much trauma in your past lives to heal you in your current one. But they definitely do have classes on your past lives so that you can understand where some of your current personalities come from.
Don't they have a thing where you can send them a picture or something and they...
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. Yeah. So that is absolutely in the school of, understanding what you were in a previous life. And you send them a picture of yourself now with your birth name, not your surname, your married name or anything like that, and your birth date. And they'll give it to one of the oracles. And what will happen is the oracles in the temple will see your past lives and they will respond with giving you a clue. They'll give you a clue and a practice. You have to go and practice to see if you can awaken your own memory. It's different whenever you come to a realization versus a teacher just tells you, this is what is happening. And you were a pharaoh. And then you made out with Sophia Loren and blah, blah, blah. Like if you feel it in your body, you will expand exponentially in that instance. And that is what their goal is to make you remember who you are. Not them just tell you.
That's an interesting concept also on the healing. So let's say an example. Say someone comes to you and they have an extensive amount of fear in, I don't care, relationships. Maybe they think everyone's cheating on them in relationships. Mm-hmm. Is that a good one for them to come to you for a healing for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a good example where we can kind of expand on what happens? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is also my teachers, sometimes I think that they forget that they are so wise and advanced that they step over many steps, but they're like, if you don't like something about yourself, change it. Why do you create extra suffering trying to figure out the solution? For example, why do you have to uproot every minuscule aspect of your life and place blame to just solidify the story of, I have been cheated on before, now everyone will cheat on me again, and this is where all of my fear is coming because I was cheated on 20 years ago. So every day we pull in the 20 year ago timeline into our present reality, and we just wear this identity. One of our personalities will wear this identity because we have multiple personalities in our body, not in a schizophrenic way, which is a beautiful different topic, but we have each of us, but the victim, the cheating victim, that personality is the one that needs to be healed, not necessarily the alternative personality, which is the artist or the poet or the lawyer or the you know what I mean? So there's aspects when I say timelines. Yeah.
So that's a little more Dr. Phil, just fix it kind of like mentality. Just don't do it.
No, it's not
simplified?
but because it's anchored in your behavior. So there has to be an action behind it. You give up your sovereignty if you walk into the presence of a quote unquote healer. They look at you and say, you will no longer be afraid of being cheated on. And then you don't think you have to do any practice behind that to support it. That means you would have to give your sovereignty over every single day to that healer. And it's fine. I mean, if that's how you want to move through life, that's okay. But there has to be energetic practices to support where you want to move in this reality. Even your brain at night detoxes like this gray, almost like a smog off of it from the debris of just thinking and processing. Even your brain does an energetic process while you sleep. So if you don't think that you need a practice or a process every day to integrate new realities, and you just think that if you think it one time and it becomes true, I think that there's a short-sightedness in that. And I'm sure some people can do it, but
that's what I thought you said your healers were saying.
They do believe that if you do not like doing something, just stop doing it. You don't have to dig it up. And also at the same time, because we can't just take that one philosophy out of context, they are bombarding us with energy practices and lectures and activations that we are doing on our own to help. It's like moving past blips, moving past those what we consider traumas, so that we can integrate them and move on faster. So we can integrate them, move on, and return back to joy or creativity or whatever faster. That's their philosophy and that I am learning at this moment. But
let's take a break and then let's build a bridge there, because I think I see I got two sides here. We're going to bridge this together. Okay, folks, we'll be right back. MedicallySpeaking.com is a prophetic shop that focuses on your inner alchemical transmutation. And I needed an alchemical transmutation to say alchemical transmutation. See, Toria, you did it. When you're looking for activations to change your aura, wisdom and insight to heal your past, and alchemy to live your highest vibrancy, you will most certainly enjoy the array of offerings you will find at hermeticcallyspeaking.com. Created through the teaching of the Hermetics, Toria, who's been on my podcast many times, provides personalized guidance that caters a feast specifically from the higher realms to you. You'll leave each session feeling empowered and loved, having gained ancient knowledge for your soul's nourishment and growth. Believe me, I know. I've worked with Toria and she is terrific. Everything you need is within you. So come remember, activate, and expand your knowing at hermeticallyspeaking.com. All right. So say my issue is a trust issue. Where do I start? Or do they give me an energetic, like where does it go from there? They don't just go change it and walk away. So where?
Yeah, no.
Right. Okay.
So where it would start is, because if you have a trust issue, obviously your body is full of fear. That means fear is probably residing in the matrix of all of your cells, your muscles, your projected future, your timelines. That fear is just infiltrated everywhere. So probably give you a bunch of healings to help calm your central nervous system and your mind. Also, I cannot speak for all of the healers in Dom and Her. I could just tell you what I have seen so far.
What you would do would be great. Yeah.
Right. So you would, first of all, everybody that is suffering, we don't need to suffer. So it would definitely calm that down. And then there has to be a practice. There has to be an energetic practice of, when you step into fear, when you're you're in a relationship and you're walking that edge and you're 2 sentences away from being triggered into fear. In those moments, you can literally watch your body start to shift. You can watch your mind start to shift. You can start to hear old programming start to tune in. It's in those moments that you have to reprogram yourself with what I would call antidotes. So if you, in that moment, are like, he's about to cheat on me, the antidote is to literally shut it down. Unless you have solid proof to the contrary, you have to shut it down.
Shut down the story that's playing in your head.
Yeah, you have to shut it down. The antidote of it is, I have no proof. Why would he do that? Everything is fine. In this moment, I am safe. Why don't you ask him? Whatever you need to do in that moment to shut down the fear. I mean, I feel like all that is pretty much common sense, but you can't just get a healing, have your body be like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And then you'll probably feel better for a few months. Around that 4, 5, 6 month period, you're going to start to accumulate fear again. That fear is going to start to build up like a charge in your body. And then you're going to blow up at your boyfriend, accusing him of cheating because he's looking at a cell phone too much or whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So you have to do practices to counteract the steadfast belief in your body that you have anchored in.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that's a big one. So there's, so I come to you and say, this is my issue. So you evaluate and then give energetic practices, or, does that, so in other
I'll
words,
do both.
You'll do both.
I'll do all of it.
It's up to the person to fix it themselves in a way, correct?
So it's up to the person to maintain their practice. And most people know that when you have a session with me, I will usually give you assignments. I will usually give you homework. Mm-hmm. I'll usually I do that because I don't want you to become dependent upon somebody outside of yourself to make you feel safe, comfortable, and okay. Like you're God. We just have to get you to remember that. And if you effort at freeing yourself from any of your like personality afflictions, you can go back to remembering that this is supposed to be fun.
Yes. And also the way you're describing it also is because if someone else can just fix this with a snap of the finger, that doesn't fix the karma created by it. Does that make sense?
Yes. And also it takes away if somebody else could fix your issues at the snap of a finger, the need for you to exist would in that moment completely disappear because you render all sovereignty up. Like you literally still have sovereignty. If somebody else had control of your form to that point, to that degree, you would cease to exist because you would merge in their field because you are now one being. Because a sovereign entity can only control a sovereign entity. Mm-hmm. And in order to control somebody else to the extent in which we are describing, you would have to be the exact same entity. So one of you would fail to exist.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I think there is something about this too. For example, a weird example is, even though I don't have kids, a parent who doesn't let a kid do something, always watching over them, helicopter mom or dad, and then that kid gets out in life and is like, hey, wait a minute, look at all the bad things that are going on because he didn't see them as a kid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the story of the Buddha,
Mm.
right?
I don't know that story.
The Buddha, Siddhartha, I mean, we're going on tangent here. Siddhartha was, the prince. He was the very first Buddha. He was a prince, and he was protected so much by the kingdom from anything ugly or negative that he didn't think any of it existed. And one day he snuck out of the kingdom, and he saw people suffering on the street, like a sick person, had no clue what it was.
Yeah.
And it blew open his mind. And from that moment on, he wanted to find the cure to suffering. That's where the whole Buddhism thing came up. That was the greatest act of reductionism of a philosophy ever. So for those Buddhists out there,
it's perfect.
I'm not trying to be offensive.
I find a lot of philosophies a little wordy anyways. So you can snap them up in one or two sentences, then I am your student. Moth Mana,
yes.
I had her on, and she turned me on to this Quoria, which is, I love. It's a like an apprentice witch program, but
yes.
She's right that it's like, it's not a lot of garbage. It's not an extra. It's just here, exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3. And I'm with her. There could be no better course for me than this one. There isn't, so that I'll take a synapsis any day. But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I get it. So do you learn, so they have a curriculum, obviously, right? So, because I was looking at their website and it did not make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
But I think I might have just been browsing and not like Dom and Her University. If I was looking at the university part, it might be like, here's class 1, 2, 3. How long are the classes, or how long have you been going, or what's going on with that?
So I am in a 3-year program, and our years run for about 8 months. And then we have a couple month break. And then each year we are in Dom and Her for hands-on activations and treatments and stuff like that ourselves. But I'm not trying to sell anybody on Dom and Her at all. We're just talking about this because this is where I just was.
And I just find this whole thing interesting. The reason I find this whole thing interesting, and Dom and Her is probably one of, there's others out there too, but I feel like people don't know where to begin on their journey. And I know sometimes it just drops in your lap. We all hope our angels drop where we're supposed to go in our lap. But it is interesting on a couple of levels, including the time that you're going to put into it. You know what I mean? Like, we can all take a Reiki class and be done in a day, but is that getting you where you want to go? So I love that it's you're going to make a 3-year commitment if you're going to do this. Like, that's great.
Yeah, the last lecture that my teacher gave before I flew back to the States was the structure of the soul. And listening to this individual explain the structure of the soul blew my mind open in ways in which I am a completely different person now. There's a difference between getting small trainings and true. I personally am here to just expand my mind and try as many different things as possible to fulfill as many needs as I have. Like, I just want to experience as much as I can. And that's why I'm doing this. I know I'm a natural healer, and my job here is to assist in everybody learning to self-heal, self-activate. And that's how I found Dom and Her. I found it through a teacher who was in their school for alchemy. And when I started to look, I was like, oh my gosh, no, I got to go do the healing school. And I love it.
I see that. Yeah, that's awesome. So like, when you Is what this person is talking about the soul? Is that like not something you can explain well here, or give us a peek of, or it's too complicated?
It's way complicated to do in like, we would have to do a completely different session, but in order for you to understand it, I can see why they gave it the last class of our second year, because we have been doing work up to this point to understand why that makes sense. We've been doing all these assignments and soul work, self work, shadow work, whatever you want to call it, to understand why that's happening.
And what are some of the assignments? Like, go back to year one. What would somebody involved in year one be doing?
So somebody involved in year one just has to get into their body. We have an affliction of just trying to figure out life through our brain. We do a lot of prana exercises, breath exercises, because your soul is anchored in your breath. When your breath leaves your body, so does your soul. I'm not talking about small breath retentions. That's not what I'm saying. But air, breath is soul. Like that's where it's anchored in. So we do a lot of breath techniques. We do a lot of meditations. We do a lot of feeling, getting in our body without panicking and without just physiologically thinking. This is not a psychological thing. This is an experiential approach. The second year, we started to go down very specifically. I can tell you where our first assignment was that started to blow my mind open. We had to write down every year that we were alive, and in that year, what were the pivotal moments of, we had to write literally our autobiography in a list.
I think we did that at a retreat once, but what about people like I have years that are just not there?
That's okay. You can just leave them blank for now. They might come in different later. And then from there, we can see our storylines of the things we tell ourselves about our life, and where we start to create stories around our perception. And our perception changes so often through your life that it's, if you have an anchored in storyline that, here's a simple example, and this is not applicable to my own life. So let's just say your dad, you thought your dad was like your hero because he always stood up for you and he always put you first and put you first. And as you grew up, you felt as though you were always put first. And then, by 25 or 30, you can see that your dad was actually really abusive to your mom because he always put her down, and only stayed married because of you. And then you can see how actually abusive he was. But so in that moment, when you awaken to that there's a different perception or perspective of who your dad was, you create inner conflict in yourself. And that inner conflict then creates disease. But this is occurring multiple times through multiple different situations in your reality. So we wrote down our timelines. Then we wrote down the top 20 pivotal moments of our life, maybe even more pivotal moments of our life where, for example, the birth of Austin, pivotal moment. I had a choice there. I could either have an abortion or I could have a child. And the opposite, if that moment didn't occur, who would we be now? So I have like these 20, 30 pivotal moments. And then I wrote down what would happen if they didn't occur. Who would I be now? And in this exercise, this took forever. I came to this awareness that I am perfectly designed. I am literally divinely designed. Every single choice. Oh, someone wants to talk to you. Every single choice that I've ever made, or every single decision I've ever come into, the exact right one occurred. Even in times of immense trauma that I have experienced, or abuse that I've experienced, so if that didn't happen, I would not be where I am right now. I would not be who I am right now if that didn't happen. And so then that shifted my perspective. And listening to me say this is different than you actually doing it. If you actually go and do this, you will learn a lot about yourself. And there is no greater, in my opinion, there is no greater gift to the face of this earth than a person who truly knows themselves, because they are less likely to attack anyone or anything. They are happy, truly happy in their form, and they have no issues with other people. Like, try the and then what else? All of these exercises kept building upon each other, and you see all your different personalities, and you see how your personalities are anchored in, and it was mind blowing.
It sounds fabulous.
That was our 37-minute lecture on Dom and Her, where you could just watch the documentary.
No, this is what this is what I wanted to talk about. This is what I thought we were talking about. So this is great.
Okay.
And the exercises and ways to help people, because also, I mean, it is to do any kind of healing work, you have to heal yourself. That's why it's always interesting when people, there's a lot of shamans all of a sudden. And I always thought, right. And I always thought shamans were like, they lived in the hills, or like it wasn't a 3-hour class. You know what I mean? And, and there's a lot of them around now all of a sudden, and they don't look like they've been in the mountains very long. So I thought the first book I ever read said a shaman usually is someone who's sick or ill, because the shaman that's how you find out you're a shaman, is you heal yourself. And everything is different now, and I don't judge. If you're a 3-hour shaman and you're doing your job, then go get them. Go get them. Come on the show and tell us how you did it. I'm all for it. Right? Because somebody's
3-hour shaman.
Yes. Somebody's getting, if you're helping people, I don't care. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you call it. If you're helping people, go get them. Right? Well, that's all we want.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Yeah.
And
back to the sacredness. Okay. I mean, hey, who am I to speak for the humans? There is no truth. There's no truth. Mm-hmm. And so who am I to speak about this 3-hour shamanism stuff?
Right. I don't know. I said, if it's working, maybe you brought that in from a past life and you got all of it, So I don't know. I don't judge, but I mean, that self work, I think that's in the metaphysical field, that's everything. And maybe Dom and her has found a structured way to do it, right? Because after you do it for you, then you see it in others, right?
Yes. And this, when we go back to this self-work, I mean, think about artists, or think about writers. And I have a friend who just finished the course, The Artist's Way. Remember that old book, The Artist's Way? It was pretty popular. Okay. And in that, they have morning pages.
I tell everyone to do morning pages. There
you go, Karen.
That is the most useful thing in that book, period.
There you go. That is a practice. That is a practice to bring up the introduction of who you are every single day. It's where you go to meet yourself. That's practice. It's a perfect example. Morning pages.
Yeah. There's a couple of comics I know that we always talk about. That's the only thing that stuck. And that is, I feel, how people get in communication with their guides, because I get direct information. I get direct information.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple. I know one lady that starts every day. Hers are started with what do I need to know today? So I give that practice to so many people. I think it's the best.
One of the practices that my teachers gave me was at night. They're like, what did I learn today? And what didn't I learn today? So and I was like, well, what the hell are you going to write? What didn't I learn today? So for example, I did not learn to stop eating when I feel full. I didn't learn that yet. I will once again get up tomorrow and be like, stop eating when you feel full, Aim. No. I will always take 3 bites after, so that then I feel very fucking full. I didn't learn that. You know what I mean? But when you recognize what you learned today, it opens your brain to the magic of reality. It just makes you start to pay attention to your day more, because then you start to look for things to learn. And I'm not talking, oh, I learned a new mathematical equation. Fine. That's fine. But just being present in your form and in your day, if you are looking for the magic or what is new to you, it actually makes you want to be in your day, as opposed to, oh, I'm just another cog, just cranking out whatever, being a lawyer, a pharma rep, or a comedian. Like, I'm just cranking it out. Instead, I'm like I am looking to learn.
Yeah. And you should be, especially if you're a comedian, you should be curious. That's the key to comedy, I think. Hang on, folks. We'll be right back. And we're going to find out about your retreats and your apprentice programs. All right, hold on, folks.
Incoming transmission.
Greetings, intergalactic campers. We are here to notify you of an auspicious cosmic event occurring at Starstruck Farm in Lebanon, Tennessee, August 17th to 20th of Earth Year 2023. Humans have labeled this event Hot Alien Summer Camp, and forces across the multiverse have confirmed it to be an unparalleled community convergence phenomenon. Expect to experience sound baths, energetic exchanges, metaphysical vendors and practitioners, yoga, live music, Reiki, and comedy performances by karenrontowski and Ryan Singer, and most importantly, restful, enriching connection with your fellow aliens. Hot Alien Summer Camp, where cosmic forces align for an unforgettable adventure. Go to hotaliensummercamp.com to book your tickets and let the magic unfold.
Transmission complete.
All right. So now you get to take people to Dom and Her, or is that your choice? Or you're going to start retreats?
Yes.
Will you be working with the people there? What happens?
Yes. So I have so many people reaching out saying that they want to go, but it's intimidating, for one, to fly to a foreign country, and to find this small ass town in northern Italy. So I want to help people get, into Milan, and then help them, get to Piedmont, and help them that we can actually stay in the temples. They have beautiful, few of them, like maybe 8 rooms, that you can stay in the temples. But I want to have everybody tour the temples. I think that we need to do some meditations in the temples. There's beautiful activations that we can do. But also they have these Selfica healing devices. Selfica is Selfica. These healing machines, working with some of my teachers. Do you think you've had a healing session with somebody? Good God, I sat down in a chair, and my teacher placed her hands over my head, and it was as though I was immediately in a different dimension. It was unfreaking believable. And to the point where you stand up and you have to self-check to make sure you didn't just go crazy. You're just, it's unbelievable. So I want people to have the ability to see what actual community looks like as well. Like, this is a community. It's actually the Federation of Dom and Her now. They have grocery stores. They have their own school system. They have, I know,
That sounds
every
great.
time I say this, it sounds like a fucking cult, but it's not.
You know what? It's so funny, because I just did a whole podcast on cults and how people are longing for community. And this is going to be, in about 5 years, we're going to have a lot of cults, because nobody knows how to integrate again. But I do think there are, you know what I mean? This is going well. It's a community.
Did that podcast come out yet? Yeah, I know.
No,
did that podcast? Why didn't I hear it?
That's on the Patreon this month. And folks, if you're in the future when we do this, hold on. Whenever a fire engine goes by like this in Utica, Jessa would always say, "Oh, you're messing up the Matrix. The Matrix just got me." Whenever Jessa and I talk, something like that goes on, because we're upsetting the Matrix. That one's on the Patreon in June. In
very
May.
cool.
In May. But that might have to go back in time. But I was gonna put it out. I might put it out as a regular to tease people into the Patreon. But I think there is this. it's so funny because this is going to sound terrible, but everybody I know wants to have a community and let's grow our own food and let's do this. And Americans are not built for that. They just don't do it well. I know that sounds terrible, but
no, it doesn't sound terrible.
You know, I think, and it's very interesting because part of what you're explaining, like I listen a lot to the 55th Key, which is about the ascension. And they talk so much about the victim mentality, which I think the United States, and then you add the media and all this stuff that's too harsh, it is telling you all to be a victim all the time, no matter what. It's not.
Yes.
So I don't even begrudge anyone that feels like a victim. And there are real victims. That's not saying there aren't. But I feel like it's in every... We are this. My friend has the funniest joke about the United States where he's like, we're only 200 years old. We're like the drunk kid throwing bottles in a bar, and all the older countries are just like, let him run it out. Let him tire himself out. But we, you know, this, not against capitalism, but something's wrong here, that we are all tuned into victim mentality, and it's everywhere. But anyways, but they don't, this doesn't sound like a cult. It sounds like a community or a small town. I think in small town America, where they wouldn't want community because they already have it, that would be a better example.
Yeah. And also communities go against
leaders.
When we back, and when we back up to, and it goes against dictatorship and leaders, basically what you just said. But when you back up to, that America isn't built for community and the media, but this entire dimension is based upon division, right? The entire point of the third dimension is to divide. Even our senses do that, right? So our senses, the sense of smell, it divides up, sense from other sense. Or our eyeballs divides up colors. If we didn't have the sight, like the sense of sight, we'd only see in black and white, right? Or we wouldn't even see that. It would just be, there would be no, the entire point of this reality is division of cells, division of perceptions. And so it's very easy to divide anything and then exploit it. So it's going to feel against nature for anything to move in a unification process. And the first step, in my opinion, in learning to unify is learning to unify your own personalities, to learn to unify, not hating one aspect of yourself. Because if you hate one aspect of yourself, as soon as you're around somebody else that has that aspect, you're going to be triggered. And all of a sudden you're taking down a whole damn community. Because now we got to work on why we're being triggered by each other, because this part of me is unhealed and this is not unified. So if I love the idea of living in community, but everybody has to first unify the various personalities within them so they stop being so triggered by everything else.
Yeah. And now all the triggering in this country has made people not want to say anything. And now I see all the signs where it says your silence is worse than speaking out. And it's like, holy cow, everybody slow down. There's so much hate being
brave
stoked.
Yeah. Be brave enough to be okay with being upset.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, be brave enough with somebody saying something to you and you not liking it and you not responding.
Yeah.
It takes great wisdom to know when you need to speak and to know when you need to listen.
And to know when you need to back out.
Yeah. Not participate. But we're never going to be able to be in a community and until we understand that all opinions matter. Like, as soon as one unifying, like, for example, if we're going to build a community and we all have to have these beliefs and no other beliefs are allowed to exist, that's not unification. That's more separation. Right?
Yeah, that's fascism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that isn't that fascism where everybody has to believe the same thing and do the same thing, and this is our
Yeah.
ruler? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one.
And it's destructive to expansion. Because as soon as you all have the same opinion and the same perspective, literally, quantum physics, reality quits expanding. If we all had the same perception and the same interpretation of events, reality in its structure would stop expanding in general.
I love that.
It's never happening.
Right. I feel like, too, maybe this is every generation feels like this, or maybe, maybe I'm even out of my mind, but I feel like even old constructs disintegrating, we are on the cusp of new. I did this wonderful Michelle Welch was on my podcast, and she said something about a year ago. I had these two. I didn't know what they were when I was meditating. It looked like two things made of rock on either side of me. And she was saying, she said, angels have changed, or there's new angels. And she said, she described like, I'm looking at this like cement-like figure. And I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like the expansion of reality right now. Of course, it's always been an expansion would always be bigger in new information. But I feel like sometimes the old constructs now, like I'm telling somebody, if you're seeing a talking fish, go with it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what's coming next. You got to just, if it feels right inside, it's right.
I agree with you. I think that, and two, that will help with the magic. That will help with people. I understand that that walks a very fine line of diagnosed psychosis. And also, if you can see the magic in life, I would rather be diagnosed as psychotic and live in a magical world where I know I am in charge and sovereign and creating beauty here than see reality with gray eyes, just marching slowly to, oh my God, someday I'm going to die. Thank God. Because I cannot keep getting up at 8 a.m., going to work and just paying bills and driving my kids to soccer. And, one of the practices that I have been doing is removing, my teacher was talking about this. If I were to tell her, I don't have time to do this, she would be like, okay, I need you to do this assignment. And then I also need you to do 2 extra healings. I need you to now do 3 extra things a week. Instead of just 1, I need you to do 3. And I would be like, why? And she goes, because your life needs to be more complex. And hear me out. In America, complexity means busy, means long to-do lists, means multiple juggling, means multiple plates in the air, whatever. In this philosophy, complexity means expansion of a detail, of awareness, of perception. Basically, the more important it is to you, the more you need to do it. So if no importance is placed upon something, it will make your day feel busy and full, because it will literally feel like a block of clay, a huge pillar of clay. But when you turn that block of clay into a marble statue, if you make it more complex, all of a sudden it has meaning to it. It has beauty to it. It has value to it. And so if you're looking at your work week, or you're looking at your week, and you're juggling your time, and you see all that, and you have it all, here's what I'm doing every single day, and this looks boring as fuck, and I'm ready to throw myself off a bridge, I was to immediately add things that had a lot of value to me in my days, so that all of the sudden it broke up that big block of clay into something beautiful. And I had these moments in my day where I love to heal. I love to be a doorway for people. It means so much to me to see someone have a reignition, a new spark in their eyes of, oh my God, I remember why I'm here, or I want to recreate this, or I want to still be here, whatever. So I will add more healing sessions in, even though they are energetically tiring, or I will add more complexity that has way more value to me to break up my block of, marble in the middle. So my week doesn't just feel like a lead tank. Does this make any sense? Am I making any sense right now?
Absolutely. You absolutely are. There's a sort of, as to the first point, which was, so I have that life here in Utica with whatever, like I'm facing what you're talking about. So I have to find the way. One of the things I changed was, okay, the biggest priority is getting your next comedy special out. So write an hour every day. Like that has to happen. That has to happen. And don't do it like you hate it. Do it like you love it. So that's immediately prioritizing what is important to me, right? Like, what do I really want out of life, rather than just, I'll go to another class and then I'll add another reading and then I'll go, so that adds, in other words, when your teacher is saying, what is the priority? That's my priority. Does that make sense?
It's also your intention behind your priority. If your intention is because you're afraid of money, that, right? Afraid of not making money or whatever. And so every day now I spend an hour on trying to get my next gig, that you just solidified an hour of fear into your schedule.
Okay. Yeah, no, that wouldn't be, well, yeah. Okay. I see. That's a great example, but
you see what I mean?
Right. And so for mine, it would just be that I want to get funnier and make more people laugh. It's not you know what I mean?
Great.
Because I cannot do it and still do my job. But I want to, there's no reason to, if I'm not growing in my comedy, what am I doing? So
I love that.
Yeah. So that part I understand. And then the other part where you're talking about, and this is the thing, like when I came to Utica and I had to start painting, or I had to start drawing, or I had to start doing something.
Yes.
Because that at least changed the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So
and also you're an artist. You're an artist, but you're a multiple faceted artist. So if you don't do that, that's where disease comes from, is having an aspect of you unexpressed because another aspect of you is being the dictator. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's a great way to say that.
You have to keep that cycling through you so that all aspects of yourself get a moment in the fucking sun, or that personality is going to cause cancer. It'll cause cancer in your liver. It'll cause cancer in your pancreas. It'll cause whatever. It will cause disease. You have to keep cycling all of those aspects out so they get out in the sun as well.
Yeah.
So all parts of you get to be seen.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, because it, in the flow of LA, it just felt like everything was art, and I was around artful people, and it was so, and then here I have to make that. So I also have to look at my day. This is what I started doing kind of this year, is which parts of my day are going to bring me joy and which are work. And and to balance them, and to also, if something feels like work, like if I was like 4 or 5 readings is too much a day, I cut down to 3, that's better. And then go at those 3 like with more joy, and want to bring a better message. So, but I do see, yes, I get the part about, I'm trying to do 2 things here. I'm trying to explain my part, and also think about the people that listen, that call me, that maybe I think art is mandatory or creativity is mandatory. But if someone's like, but I don't have that thing. And I have 4 kids and I have to work and my husband doesn't do this. Like, I feel, you're saying so many great things that I want to push you to for those people. And here's why.
Okay.
I think I have a good way to put this. So many people feel trapped.
Yes.
Really trapped. And whatever the partner has this bad habit and he's not changing, so I'm not doing it. And then I have 7 kids and what am I going to do with 7? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And they're just like, I can't change anything. Like that I think that to me encompasses America. And now everything costs so much, so I need another job.
Yeah. Yep.
Where does that person
Okay, so
start?
where would I start? Okay. So I would start at I would go back and ask them to ask, why did you want to start a family? Why did you want to start a family? Because let's say you have 2 young kids right now and you are not sleeping and you haven't had a private moment in your bathroom in forever. Why did you want to have a family to begin with? There was a reason, like you wanted to create a life. You wanted to have fun with this soul. You wanted to teach them things. You wanted to have, joy with these kids or whatever. We have to go back to the basis of why did we do this in the first place? And so let's say that you were the person that did want your children, because I definitely have some friends out there that are just like, this was a complete surprise. I was not ready for this.
Or they thought this is what they were supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to those next. Okay, so the people that did want their kids, go back to why you wanted them. And then we have to start to celebrate. Let's say they're babies. And what can you teach a baby? I don't know, but you can absolutely have fun with them. If you like to dance with your kid. Make your kid laugh. What do you like? I know you like to play as a kid. All of us like to play. Play that. Play. There has to be a moment where you say, you know what, it doesn't matter if I'm not eating the healthiest meal tonight. It does not matter if the kitchen isn't clean. It does not matter. There has to be a moment where you recognize you're dying inside and you are the priority. You're the priority, not your kids, not your kitchen, not their food. You're the priority, and you're to have fun, or you're to whatever your intention was, you got to figure out how to address that intention now with those beings that makes you feel free. Now, if you're like, I just need to be alone and nobody is helping you be alone, you have to have a friend who also feels the same way, where you can do trade-offs, where you're just like, you got to take my kids. There has to be a solution. And if Karen, give people my email. If they're just like, no, there isn't a solution, I will help you brainstorm, because you deserve to be on this planet.
Well,
we need you here.
You know what is interesting about that? And this is the key, is I have plenty of solutions, but some people don't want solutions. They want to remain the victim. Yes. And I can't change that. And I have there's this really weird things that happens in readings where I call it the squishy answer. So someone will say, I really hate my job. I got to get out of my job. Okay, let me do a reading on you getting out of your job. Well, wait, I can't get out of my job because I bought a house and there's no other jobs like my job here. All right, let's see how we can make your job better. No, I got to get out of my job. It's an awful, and they squish back and forth so that there isn't even a question. And that person, sometimes now I just back off and I try to find a way to say, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not everyone. Most people aren't like that, but every once in a while I'll hit that person where I can hear it. And I know. You know what I'm talking about. And the question is really, do you really want to heal? Do you really want to heal? Because if you do, I just gave you 10 answers and you steamrolled all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a huge another topic, but let's stick with the people who want answers.
Yeah, but that is a habit. Feeling bad can literally become a habit. And habits are unbelievably hard to break. And sometimes like leaving that state can create more discomfort. So going back to your example of the person leaving their job is so uncomfortable. They want to, but they can't.
Mm-hmm.
They can, but they can't. I just think that it's a habit. It's a habit to call a reader, call Karen Rontowski, complain about how awful your life is, and then not hear anything she says.
Yeah, and if that's the reading you want, you can have it. But you know what I mean? Like in those situations, I'm like, oh my God, I can't. Right? It's like, what do? You offer all the help you can, and then you go, I gotta, because people know I will almost always go long on a reading, especially like if we get to that thing they're supposed to at 5 minutes left. I will always extend.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people where I go, I'll give you 15 minutes in 2 months. Call me back if the situation. I'm pretty generous, but with someone like that, then I have to go. Because then it's, then you're just taking.
Plus,
from
it's
me.
not helpful.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's not helpful. It's you also don't need to suffer because this person's suffering. You know what I mean? Now we have two people suffering.
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
Back to whatever. What was our other example? The example of the parent that didn't want the children.
Right, and then that sounds like a weird place to wrap up, but I'm already late for my kid. But yes, okay. Well,
we can talk about that another time.
Okay, that is a very interesting, hard place, and you can't say that place. You can't, like, I was just on Twitter. I have a friend who has 2 kids, and he was just saying, look at all these women acting like they're happy they don't have kids. And I had to unfollow because I was like, whoa, that's a weird projection. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't think I need to listen to that kind of, like, you're just wacky now. And it's like, why couldn't a woman not want to have kids when I know enough women that would change that if they could, but they can't say that, you know? They're out there.
Yeah. Yep, they are. They're absolutely out there.
And they're not bad people. They're not bad people. I don't mean against them. Sometimes you get the shit kid. Somebody has to have Damien.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Because all perspectives have to be anchored on this planet.
Yes.
Like all perspectives. So yes, somebody has to have the Damien child. And we have got to quit picking on each other, man.
Right. Right. That wasn't I didn't mean that as a pick on anyone, but it's
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about that guy.
Yes.
It's just
what
like,
does he think women want? He thinks we're all one being and we all want kids. Stop it. You're mean to people are so mean to women that I'm not going to go the victim route, but I feel bad too. If sometimes women have kids or something and then they put on some weight or they can't go back to how they were and then they get picked on for that. So yeah, never mind. I went down that victim route and I didn't mean to.
Wait, we're supposed to do a podcast about answering questions sometime,
right? And we just brought up the problems.
Listen, I don't really have anything. Do you have any other questions? I don't mean to make you go over on your podcast.
No,
timing.
I think we're good. I have a gig. I have a 2-hour drive to a gig that I know I'm just a little late on, and so I have to jump in the shower really fast. But anyways, to be continued, or, also, I still have only a couple of questions from a podcast I wanted to do called Ask Amy. So let's leave it at a cliffhanger. Everyone email me your questions, and Amy and I will do this again with those questions. How's that?
Yeah, I'm totally here for your questions. If you actually have a need as well that you want a practice or a ritual to do, trust me, there will be other people out there that are in your shoes or your issue that will also benefit from your question. So
yes, awesome. Amy, thank you so much. Tell everyone where they can find you. What is your status right now with healing? Are you doing healings online? And also, when do they need to know about going to Dom and Her?
I'm still waiting on the dates for Dom and Her. So I have one more month of this year, and then I'll find out next year's. And so stay tuned for that. You can find me on Instagram at a Laughing Spice 12.0 because my original A Laughing Spice got hacked. And then, what else? Oh, my website is virashanti.com, virashanti.com. I definitely am doing healings in person in South Florida. So you're welcome to come. And if you want to, if you know you need a couple days worth of healings, I'll definitely help you find a place to stay. And it's the closest airport is West Palm Beach. I live about 30 minutes away. And then I still do everything online. I still offer energy clearing practices every Sunday morning on Zoom. It's a $10. You just send me Venmo or PayPal if you want an energy clearing. I call it yoga and energy alchemy. It's just to help, everybody stay clean from their week. I still do that on Sundays, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's about it. Sorry, I'm wordy. God,
no, you know what? I think I actually know that feeling. Like you've had your week at Dom and her. I know that feeling of just being like kind of in joy, and it's not real focused feeling.
No, I'm just like out here just talking, making no fucking sense.
You were totally making
around.
Sense, and it was a great podcast. And I have to tell you, we have a mutual friend, Dina, who gave me a massage yesterday, and I have to tell you, I don't want to. At the end, I literally came out of my body because she is so good. She is
yes.
I have to write a Google review and do everything, but I have never had such an experience where, like, when she was done, I popped out of my body, and I was like, "Holy
awesome!
Cow, she is amazing." So,
yeah, she's unbelievable. She does. She comes on Sunday mornings to the yoga and energy alchemy class online.
Yes, everyone go to that and get a little taste of Amy Spicer. Amy, thank you so much for coming on.
Always. Karen, I think the world of you. Thank you.
And you too, my friend. And we always want to hear about your adventures. Send me questions for Amy. We'll do this again. Thanks to Mike at Una Rising Media. Folks, I'll see you on the Patreon, or maybe tonight I'll see you in Binghamton, New York, my big gig. Have a great day, everybody.